Get those nerds!
Holies, we are live doing a brand new live Bid Nerds. You will notice my partner Michael Deeb is he's not jittery at all. He's very calm and he's like the Iceman right now. This guy can hold a pose better than Madonna. You're gonna notice his internet connection sucks tonight. Sorry guys, but we can hear him. What's up, Michael Deeb?
Hey, JP, what's going on? Welcome to Sunday night at the Deeb household.
Yeah.
Live from the, what do we call it, the fisting room? I think that's the one that's stuck, right?
I think that might be it. Yeah, we're going with it tonight because we're getting fisted by your internet connection. But that's okay. That's not going to stop us from bringing you fresh nerds. We're trying to do this every Sunday and Wednesday. It is Life is Beautiful here in Las Vegas in the downtown Las Vegas area. So there are like 100,000 partiers right outside our door, and I'm surprised. Like the EDM tent is the next building over. I can't believe it's not coming through on the audio here. This is great, but thanks for joining us, guys. We're gonna try to make a show for all of you. So yeah, I think we're live. Is this live? Is this happening?
Kind of wish I was there. I kind of wish we were there. It'd be really fun to be there in studio tonight. Yeah, we had 3-4 people watching, and yeah, we'll give a shout out soon to New Orleans. I think when we see about 10 people up there watching, we'll know that the New Orleans crowd has tuned in, thanks to our buddy Chris Carbine down there at Carbine Motor Cars. He keeps getting all his friends to watch the show. I think we should just start calling him the marketing department, JP, because I think he's done more for the show than you and I have in 3 years.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Yeah. So welcome to the New Orleans crowd. Thanks for tuning in from Louisiana.
I think Mikey's going over there. Here we go. I got my Life is Beautiful hat.
Yeah.
So here it is.
Nice.
I'm just going to do Life is Beautiful style here, Bid Nerds, for the rest of the night. I don't know if this hat may not fit on this camera angle. I don't know. It might have too much diameter. I can't tell.
What winds up happening is it casts a shadow down your face because all the lights are overhead. So it looks like you're standing under an umbrella.
Very dark. I'm very dark.
But yeah, Mikey and Kate are going to Barrett Jackson in New Orleans, which is at the end of the month, and it's taking place allegedly just blocks away from where Carbine Motor Cars is. So Mikey and Chris are going to connect down there, and Chris is going to show Mikey Carbine Motor Cars and introduce him to some of his friends, and they'll probably hang out at the first ever Barrett Jackson, I believe, in the state of Louisiana, or at least in New Orleans in the market. So they're very excited to get the big circus down there and buy and sell some cars. So have fun to everybody down there. Know that the Bid Nerds are with you in spirit. We wish we were hanging out, and we'd certainly love to be buying cars. That's for sure.
All right. Well, if you are new to the show and you're going, who are these guys? What are they doing? What we do on this show is we find interesting cars from the internet online auctions like Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, Hagerty Marketplace, PCAR Market, and more. We play a game of Price is Right. Basically, we find a car, we talk about that car, we give you all the information, and then we take a shot at guessing what's going to happen with that car's auction. And then on the next show, we will reconcile our poor auction predictions with reality. And reality is a bitch sometimes, but you can play along with it. It's a lot of fun. We always start off the show by reconciling our last bids. So that's where we're going to start today. For some reason, chat is not coming up on my main screen. I can see it on my other feed, so I can't seem to get it to, because normally I can, put the chats up on the screen. So maybe that will start working here in a bit, or I'll mess with it while you talk about the first car. Why don't we do that, Michael D? Which car do we want to review first? Or which car do we want to show how wrong we were first, I guess is a better question.
Oh, man. Yeah, so let's start with the 1997 Porsche 911 C2. This is the 993 C2, the white one, that I believe Mental picked because Chris is driving his friend Chuck's or Charlie's 1995 C2, white with all black, 54,000 miles. and Charlie, or Chuck, as it were, is allegedly contemplating selling that car. So Lee Patet, if you're watching, you should check that car out if you haven't seen it first. But this car we thought would be a really good comp. It's a 97, so it's got the Vario RAM. JP, you can fill this in a little bit later, but it's got like the 2 oxygen sensors or some other nonsense. Secondary air, is that what I'm thinking of?
Yep.
But the car has 41,000 miles, low miles. It's got a beige interior with a black dashboard. It's all stock. It looks to be really nice on the basic 17s. This is the narrow body car. Our car is on Bring a Trailer, John, and it is offered out of West Los Angeles by the Motoring Club. Oh, this is the car that the Motoring Club was offering. So it looks to be a no-nonsense, low-mile, standard C2. It's so ironic to think that if this was just a 964, a secondary version of like a .2 of a 964 C2 coupe in white with tan interior, this would be easily over $100,000 car. And we kind of thought that would sort of be the case here. So without further ado, John, really nice car. Factory Cosmoline is still on there. The build stickers are in place. Again, no nonsense, really nice car. If it's an S, it's going to bring stupid money, but the C2s seem to be a bit more affordable. So with all that in mind, with the low mileage and the Cosmoline and the seller under consideration, I turned out to be the high man at $123,000. Shocking, right? JP, you came in just underneath me looking for the real estate that is typically available below my bid. You said $120,000 would take this car home. Mental, who is driving his friend's car and ultimately, helping to broker a deal to sell it, turned out to be the most pragmatic one of the bunch. He said $105,000. So, John, is there anybody on there that's watching that wants to guess, venture a guess on what our 1997 911 Carrera 2 Coupe, 40,000 miles on Bring a Trailer sold for last week? Going once.
Yeah,
going
now's the time. Hop in, guys. I'm still trying to get the live chats. I can see them on my other screen here, but I can't bring them up. Looks like we've got some new folks coming in here. New to Bid Nerds is, I'm going to butcher some names here. Kareem Siddiqui, I'm so sorry for screwing up your name. I'm trying here, but thanks for joining us. Thanks for being part of the Nerd Herd. We got Anthony playing along as per usual. Thanks, Anthony. Still haven't found me a BNR. Chris Carbine is hanging out with us. He's hanging in. He said his bid was $120. Ross in New Zealand hanging out with us. He says 127 was his bid, and everyone's kind of saying hello in the chat here. I love seeing you guys talk to each other in the chat. So that's awesome. I'm gonna try to get these chats back up. We will see if we can make that happen. But Michael Deeb, what do we got?
Those are a couple of good bids. Ironically, they're all around yours and mine, JP, at 120. One of them matches yours. I think that was Carbine's, and Ross was really high. I think Ross always takes into consideration the shipping to New Zealand, which is why he's always the high bid. Without further ado, JP, very interesting notes from this car. Let's keep in mind that this car closed on a Sunday during football season, which I've told you I think is the kiss of death with Bring a Trailer. I would also call that Saturday during college football. I think that's also a problem. Our car, the final bid was $90,911. And believe it or not, JP, it sold on just 5 bids. I'm telling you, man, this happened to me when I was trying to sell my Burgundy M491 car, and my car did not sell. One, I'm surprised that the reserve was that low, or at least low enough to take into consideration that it was within $5,000 of this number, and BaT decided to give that delta to the consignor just to pass the car through as a sold unit. 2, it's a Sunday close, and they only got 5 bids on what is a really nice car and a very reputable seller. I'm shocked by that. And then, of course, Mental and I shared a little text message with this result. JP, you might have been on that chain where he was like, boom, I told you. He's like, I called it. So, Mental, you won this one. But let's put it into perspective. You were off by $15,000, which is like 18% on 90 grand. So, I don't know if I'd go bragging about that, Mental. All you did was pick all the real estate underneath JP, which any bottom feeder catfish could have done. But JP, when you and I talked about this earlier offline, you you said right away that you thought that that this, like, meeting reserve at 90 grand didn't make sense to you. You still
No.
to think that this is probably BAT closing the gap on this one, and I think that's a pretty good call by you. I would not contest that take. I think that's probably correct, which would put the reserve on this car at close to $95,000. That means BAT gave up about $4,000 to sell it. So anyway, anything else you notice about this particular lot? I feel bad for the consigner, the motoring club, or whoever in the motoring club owns this car, because if during the NFL season they give you a Sunday close, I think you're leaving money on the table. I would not agree to that if I were to do it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I would not ever sell my car during NFL Sunday. There's just no way. Or Monday. Well, I mean, Monday Night Football ain't going to affect it. But hey, shout out to our friends up in the Pacific Northwest. Sydney is watching from the PCA in the Northwest. Just a little heads up. This is off topic, but the PCA in the Northwest has invited yours truly to go up to Seattle at the end of the month, at the end of October. An interview in front of live people. Patrick Dempsey, the star of that show about doctors. No, Patrick Long, of course.
No,
very
Patrick Long.
excited. Very excited to
JP,
actually hang out on a stage with Patrick Long in front of a bunch of people. I'm super honored to be asked to have that chat for the PCA up there in the Northwest.
John, will that be on Friday the 27th or Saturday the 28th? Do you know the date off the
My
top
understanding,
of your head?
I believe it's the 28th. Sydney, if you want to chime in, I'm 99.467%. I'm far more accurate on the date, I think, of this event than I am on my predictions this week. But yeah, I think it's the 28th.
That's easy to do because there's only 30 days in the calendar.
Right. So come up to the Northwest and see me hang out with Patrick Long and all our friends up in the Northwest. We'll put a link in the description below after we're done with the live episode so people can buy tickets. This is a for charity event, so all the proceeds go to a charity. Again, I'm sure Sydney will let me know exactly which charity that is, and we'll definitely plug that. Also, Ren Sport Reunion is coming up this weekend, and we're going to be there. And speaking of Sydney, she hits me up. She's like, "Hey, so what parties are going on? What's going on in Monterey during Car Week?" And I'm just like, "I don't know. I haven't heard of anything yet. I'll let you know." And then she hits me back with a link to our friend Adam Kern with Checked It Out from Chicago. He's throwing some kind of event, and he's got listed on the event as partners Dervasa Nation. I'm like, first I've heard of it. So thanks, Adam, for making me look like a dickhead. Does that mean we get free tickets?
On the contrary, wait till he finds out Dervasa Nation shows up with like 12 dudes.
I'm like this, dude, we're bringing everyone from Las Vegas, everyone from the Northwest, everyone from San Francisco. I'm a sponsor. I can let people in. So thanks again, Sydney, for letting me know about that. I thought that was pretty funny. All right, so back to this 993. Yeah, this car is a spectacular car. We talked about that on the last episode. This is absolutely the kind of 993 you want to drive as an everyday driver. If you're going to do an air-cooled car, we were talking to our good friend Solomon Braun, who is an avid air-cooled driving car. He's the owner of Helga. You can watch his film on the Dervasa Nation YouTube channel. But I think he needs a 993 because it is the perfect mix of modern and air-cooled. But that said, I think 993s, even though this is definitely an NFL discount that we're looking at here, I think 993s, I think everything is going to soften up a little bit. This is not my normal doom and gloom or anything like that. I think it's just that, we're coming into the fall. I'm here in Las Vegas. It's still 90 degrees out, and it's freaking perfect. We had Cars and Cafe this morning, best weather of the car show that we've had yet. And but I know the rest of the country is kind of settling into fall colors. It's going to start raining and worse. I think sports cars are just going to settle into that kind of winter mode here soon. What do you think of that?
I agree. I do think the market is softening. We've seen interest rates go up again, and yeah, it's the end of the season. I think after Monterey Car Week, it's kind of like pull the plug. If you get a retail number for a car after August, I'd consider yourself lucky. I don't think I think this result is a sign of the times at the moment. This is a of the moment result at just $91,000 for a no nonsense sub 50,000 mile, um, 993 C2. I think if this guy would have sold this car 3 months earlier, he would have got easily $10,000 to $20,000 more money for it. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a bummer. And you got to be informed. You got to play the game correctly. Otherwise, you're going to leave money on the table. And I do think that's what happened here. I also think that as Mental is talking with his good friend about selling their 95 car, I think they have to take a result like this into strong consideration as a very similar comp. And
Yeah.
I don't know that they could expect to get much more money for the car. To me, I think 95 would be all the money for a car like this, unless the car has under 30,000 miles. I don't see how it's going to break 100 grand if it's a standard range color, which is what this is. Somehow white does not enhance the value of a 993 anything, turbo or otherwise, where a 964 in white or a 996 in white all of a sudden brings like crazy extra money and
Yeah.
looks right on the car. Explain to me why white on a 993 looks drab and out of place. Is it the stone guards? Is it the commercial with all the bright colors? Why do white 993 suffer? I feel very strongly about this, that it's like the kiss of death color on a 993.
I don't agree with that take, but I don't want to dig into it. I think this is, new nerd says he Karam, am I saying that right? Good Lord, I know I'm butchering it. I'm so sorry. Karam. He said this is exactly what we've been saying over and over and over again. He sold a 97 with 61,000 miles for 66 grand, right? So a $90,000 premium, not necessarily premium, but a $90,000 sale now, a few years later, is kind of where the market shot up. And now it's kind of bumped down, corrected, and now I think it's just going to plateau and it's just going to stay there. So it's still a lot more. But drinking game, guys, get your liquor. With inflation, I think 90 is the new 60. I mean, it's just that's what it is. But I think on a Tuesday, this car, a Tuesday afternoon, this exact same car gets at least $5,000 more. I think the Sunday NFL tax. I mean, look, the Fish beat who do they beat? Broncos,
the Commanders,
70 points. I mean, what
the Broncos?
Yeah, what?
Yeah, by 50.
Jeez, Louise. So who knows what's going on?
2 points and 10 yards away from an NFL record. That's that's historically awful by the Broncos and your old quarterback there, Russell Wilson.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
Oh, look at Anthony.
Yeah, putting his car away. I mean, he's up there in Idaho. Yeah. I thought you were inviting me to come out and hang out and drive Porsches after the Northwest event with Patrick Long. What? Does that not happen? Do we have to do it in Cayennes now or something? Don't you have a off-road Cayenne there, Anthony?
No,
I don't know.
He invited you to come up and drive your Porsche. He'd like to drive your Porsche with you.
Probably a better option. All right. Okay. So
Sydney says hi. There you go.
Sydney figured out how to comment directly in the comments. Way to go, Sydney. All right. Thanks for hanging out. All right. Let's move on to the results of the next car. And what do we got?
All right, JP. Also on Bring a Trailer is this 1985 Subaru BaT GL with a 4-speed manual. This car is located. This car is located in Auburn, Washington, and showing 93,000 original miles. You remember, it's a 1.8-liter flat four with a 4-speed manual. And these things are all-wheel drive, right? Four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive?
Four-wheel drive,
Four-wheel drive.
Yeah, they actually have to
drive.
Shift them. Some of these, I don't even, that's actually, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you might have to get out and lock the hubs on this thing. I can't remember. But anyways, this is probably one of the first cars that you shift on the fly.
Yeah, so it's a car pickup. It's a 2-door, 4-seat, but it's the second seats are in the back of the car, back of the truck. Supercar to see one like this with all the livery on it, and I mean, almost completely original condition, super rare, and we all kind of thought this car could possibly go for some stupid money. So without further ado, JP, I said $19,000. You surprisingly took the over, and when you did, I really thought this car was going to sell for 25. I thought you had a hunch, and then Mental came in at $12,000. What does the nerd herd say about this car? Does anybody want to throw a bid out there real quick before we reveal the
Yeah,
result
guys, what did you
of these
say? What did you guys
85
say? Yeah.
85 Subaru Brat
I just
GL? But
while
there's
we're
only
waiting for
3
those
of
to
us in
come in,
studio.
yeah, I love that this car is in the Northwest. I didn't talk about this before, but one thing that's funny is that you mentioned that the other two it's 4-seater, but 2 of them are outdoors, are in the truck
Yeah.
bed. In the
Yeah.
Northwest, that is not a place you can spend much time because it's only nice out for like 4 weeks, especially back in the 80s. It used to rain a lot more back in the 70s and 80s. I so love this car. What were the results of this thing?
All right, JP, without further ado, our car failed to sell at $16,753 on a whopping 34 bids. So this car got a lot of action. And my first question to you is going to be, if it failed to sell at just under 17 grand and it got 34 bids, where on earth did Bring a Trailer agree to the reserve on a car like this? If I'm working for BAT, I'm telling you, you got to get off this car at 12 or 15,000 bucks. To me, at 16.7, this car should have sold, even if the consignor expected or wanted more money. So I don't understand who's making those decisions at BAT, but I don't even know these cars, but I don't understand why you would think that, like, yeah, we'll give you 20 grand. It should make that. Based on what? Like, what are we talking about here? Subaru Brats are $20,000 cars? No effing way. So JP, where do you think the reserve was? And would you agree with me that if you work for BAT, you never would have agreed to a reserve that is higher than this final result? That to me should have sold at 16.7.
I'm actually with BAT on this one with the high
No,
high reserve. Yeah, I think this is the kind of car that
no, I think
had
you're high.
potential. I mean, clearly I am. I mean, it didn't bring it, but this is the kind of car that you
setting
would
reserves on
gamble
potential?
on. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. This is the kind of car that, look, if I own this car, I wouldn't sell it for less than 20. I'd be like, screw it, I'm keeping it. This is such a cool car. You cannot get something this cool for $20,000. It's just it doesn't exist. So if I'm sitting there considering selling this is the kind of car that I think does get a bunch of traffic on BAT. I think this is the kind of car that gets people talking. I think this is the kind of car that starts conversations, and it's disappointing that it didn't make it. But I mean, look, when it comes to reserve, sometimes you've got to roll the dice. Look what happened to our good friend Chef with his Carmen Ghia. They're like, no Carmen Ghia has ever brought more than $28,000, and his sold for 60. Right? I mean, they fought him tooth and nail.
That's a terrible analogy. I'm going to call you out.
No, it's not. You're
Chef's
completely wrong.
car is Chef's car is a beautiful car with paint and interior and a motor.
Mm-hmm.
This is an old Survivor that was probably parked indoors from the Pacific Northwest. I don't see how that's, to me, is not apples to apples. It's
not apples to apples.
But
It's all about the potential, and it's all about what I mean. This is a young timer. This car, I think, should have had more potential than Chef's car, because Chef's car, there's a gajillion Carmen Ghias out there, and yeah, it's nice and it's got all the paint. And I'm not saying that this car had the potential for $60,000, but this car easily had the potential for mid to high 20s for sure. And it didn't get there. I think if this car hit I don't know, like you said, a couple of months ago, I think it's just the timing is off. This guy should have hit this car in June when people are thinking summer and they're thinking Radwood and they're thinking all that kind of fun stuff. It's late in the season, and I think that hurt this car. What day did it close? This one didn't close on Sunday, did it?
no, it closed on. Let me read it to you real quick. It closed on it closed on Saturday the 23rd. So that's also a football day, during college football season.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
that is kind of a bummer.
weekends in general during football season. If I'm BAT, the reason why BAT beats all the other platforms, hands down, is because they have content. They have cars. They have interesting stuff to look at. All the other platforms, they don't have enough cars. Cars and Biz is kind of there. PCAR market flounders all over the place. Haggerty doesn't have nearly enough cars yet. So there's no reason to constantly go back. You can go on BAT and scroll for 15 minutes and still only get to the cars that are a couple of days away. To try to look at the cars that are a week or 2 weeks or week they only go a week out, right? But if you try to get to the cars that are a week away, you're there all day. You're never going to be able to get to them, right? The way they set up their platform is it's an entertainment platform. And I think BAT understands that part of their a big reason why they get cars on the platform and a big reason why everyone comes and buys cars there is because their platform is interesting. And this car is something that's interesting enough that they would take a gamble on a reserve that is agreed, unreasonable, but it's worth a shot. Because the right two guys could easily have gone nuts on this thing. It just didn't happen on this one. Didn't happen. What do you guys think out there? We're not getting a lot of comments on the BaT here.
Yeah, so let me give you a little bit of support, JP, for your argument against me. They've sold about 15 or 16 of these cars, or run about 15 or 16 of these cars. Only 3 have not sold, but 4 of them have gone for 20 grand or more. So
okay.
An 85 went for 25, an 82 went for 20, and then we had an 84 for 20, and then we had an 86 for 22. And a 2,500 mile 1978 went for 46,000. So there are results to support a higher reserve for this under 100,000 mile original condition car. It just didn't happen at this time of the year on a Saturday afternoon in this economy. So there you go. So there.
Well, I mean, look,
I sit corrected.
Looking at the comments, Cotton Candy Randy has the best take of all the takes so far. He just says, can we all just agree that PCAR market effing sucks? Excellent commentary. Has nothing to do with this listing, but Cotton Candy Randy, you are correct, sir. PCAR market does suck.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Chicken dinner for I like that call sign, Cotton Candy Randy. That's a little bit of rhymes.
That's
okay, yeah, guys, let us know. What do you think? Did this little car get away? Was this a bargain to be had? I mean, I don't know. Whatever. Such a weird car. I do want that car though. I got to tell you, if I could buy a car, if I had the opportunity to buy that for 15 grand, I would definitely buy it. I don't think I'd pay 20, but I would definitely buy it for 15. Which obviously other people agree with me because at least it failed.
Wouldn't it be funny if we found out down the road that Cotton Candy Randy was the guy Randy that owns Bring a Trailer? Wouldn't that be hilarious? He was hiding behind a handle and going on to like.
I hope he has better things to do than hang out and watch Bid Nerds on a Sunday night. He should be out here hanging out with all the beautiful chickie chews out here at Life is Beautiful, having a great time and taking drugs and Molly and whatever.
Somebody told Randy for Bring a Trailer that the Bid Nerds hate PCAR market. Now he's our number 1 fan. That would be hilarious.
That would be okay. All right. What else did we screw up on the bids on? What do we got here? Oh.
This is hilarious. So Mental picked this 2023.
No, he did not. I picked this. I picked this car. Thank you very much.
Did you? Oh,
I did.
All right. So yeah. So this car is out of Fort Lauderdale. It's basically delivery miles with 50 miles on the odometer. The window sticker is still present. This is a high performance, basically track day edition of a Toyota Corolla. The Circuit Edition gives you 300 horsepower, all-wheel drive, suspension tuning, exhaust, bolstered seats, fender flares. It's essentially a hot hatch to go do track days in, something that would go basically head-to-head with a Volkswagen Golf R. I think that is, to me on paper, the car's most likely competitor. And so the big thing here was they only make so many of these things, and the guys who get them tend to oftentimes, if they can buy one and will not have to pay an addendum or a premium over sticker price, will turn around and flip the car for a profit. That's what was being attempted here. Mental really took offense to this and saying that the real track day guys would never pay a premium to these people to discourage folks from doing just that. And while I empathize with Mental and his colleagues' take on that, I also, I'm not also going to stand there and try to hold back the rain. This is what happens. I would if I could, I would order a GT3 Touring, but I'm not on a list because I don't buy new Porsches from a dealership. I'm not going to pay $25,000, $50,000, or $100,000 over for a luxury car I can't afford already to begin with. And so I've just resigned myself to the fact that I'm not in the league that can play with buying new Porsches anymore. All those special edition cars that I want, like everybody else, go to the 1% that can afford that. And I can't afford to play that game. I lucked out a couple times and bought a couple of GT3s for a sticker. And and I regret not keeping one of them. But here's a car that Mental got all bent out of shape about, and I totally understand that. But I also know, like, don't hate the player, hate the game. That was my stance on this. So it was going to be interesting to see where this car was going to go. And when we were looking at it, it was at like $40,000. It's also worth noting that the MSRP on this car was or is $46,000. So we wondered how much over sticker this car would bring. With that in mind, JP, I said $57,000. You took the over at 60 grand. And then Mental said 50 and was basically saying, if you paid sticker for the car and paid for your tax and license, that's what the number would be. He didn't think it would go much further. And he said that like a big group of hardcore track guys would never pay that premium for the car, which I thought was really interesting to take. So JP, are there any bids coming in on the text line? Just tell us what they
Chris thinks he
car.
said 60 grand. Not seeing anybody else hop in
that's right.
That wasn't already watching last week. Yeah. So, all right. Well, what happened?
Our car did not go any further, JP. I think it was on 4 bids. It went up to $42,500 where it failed to sell on just 6 bids. Mental will be glad to know that the final bid that came in was $7,500 under his take, and it went no further. He also won that one. But 6 bids is no action at all, really. And 42.5 means it didn't even bring sticker. So Mental, all your wishes and dreams came true. Nobody paid this guy a premium. Now he's stuck with it. So hopefully he'll get off his ass and take it to a track day and go have fun with it, because that's what I would do if I owned this thing. And I'm telling you, JP, looking at the specification, 3-cylinder turbo with 300 horsepower and like 285 torque, the wheels, the brakes, the suspension, the three individual exhaust outlets. I'm telling you, man, I would love to rip around in this car. I would actually like to drive that car from Vegas to Rennsport and then abracadabra turn it into an air-cooled Porsche so nobody would call me out. But wouldn't that be fun to go like run with our buddy Jeff and his Civic Type R? Like that's another car on paper that I'd say is in the same category as this thing. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes without saying that myself and everyone is so glad Mental isn't here, because he would just be rubbing our nose in this one, up one side and down the other. He was absolutely right. My big take on this was that, people are paying absolutely bonkers over, numbers on Toyotas in general. But that's for trucks and Siennas and minivans and stuff like that. Toyota, you can't get a new Toyota. If you go to a Toyota dealership, if you see any new Toyotas there, they are all spoken for. You can't order one. It's just a ridiculous situation because Toyota's in a position where they can sell their cars for more in other countries. It's just that simple. This car does not fit, like most of what Toyota sells has that mass appeal. Everyone wants a Toyota fill-in-the-blank regular car, RAV4, the Sienna, a 4Runner, whatever, Land Cruisers, whatever the heck they sell, right? Everyone wants a Toyota. Any person that wants a normal person car, if you're looking for an SUV or a crossover or a sedan or whatever, the first choice is going to be a Toyota because they're priced pretty well and they are as reliable as anything made in the world. Terrorists love them because, I mean, that's just, it's the choice of ISIS. Go to any country where there are terrorists and where are they driving? Toyotas. They literally come to America and they will buy wrecked Toyotas and they will Tetris all the broken Toyota pieces in a shipping container, send that ish to Afghanistan, and dudes will sit there and reassemble cars, and then they, Toyotas. But this car doesn't fit that. This car is the one of the few things that Toyota makes that is a truly enthusiast car, and I think basically what Mental said. God damn it, he's so right on this one. It's that the enthusiasts don't have a lot of money. They want this car, but there aren't many to get. And if you are an enthusiast that wants a really nice car for $60,000, $70,000, there are better options, even on the especially on the used market. But if you're going to spend $40,000 and you want something brand new, this is kind of it. This or the Golf R. I don't know. I'm so glad. So let's see. Randy says that he thinks a couple of E46s would totally. I'm with you on that, Randy. I love an E46. I think as a track car or just a car in general. I just don't see the appeal of these little you know, these little hatches with these teeny little engines. At least the Golf R doesn't that have a 2-liter at least or something? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
2 liter all-wheel drive, and the Golf R, I think you can get in either 2-door or 4-door, and you can get it in either manual or it used to be a PDK. It might have gone back to a smoother shifting automatic.
DSG,
I'm not up on what VW is doing anymore. By all accounts, everybody's the Golf is Generation 8. Everybody, the real enthusiasts say the Gen 7 was a better platform car. So
sure.
And I don't know if that's widely recognized, but I've heard that on multiple occasions. So this could be the car right now. I actually think that the Honda Civic Type R with 4 doors and 4 seats and front wheel drive,
4
and I
cylinders,
think it's a limited
right?
slip differential. I think that that car makes like 320 horsepower. I think that's probably the better car today. So I think that's really cool. So anyways, but I don't know. I'm not a hot hatch guy. I love them, but I'm not in that market right now. So it is what it is.
You know, there's some, I mean, look, I always say, you've heard, this is another drinking game that you can play watching this show. When I say the light that burns twice as bright burns half as long, right? You know, it's like these little 1.3 things with a turbo. How long will that thing last? Well, if it were any manufacturer other than Toyota, I'd say, like, if Hyundai made this thing and had all the same stats, I'd be like, run away. You know, or at least get a warranty and get rid of it the second that warranty is done. Volkswagen, as much as I love a Golf R, I don't want a Golf R after the warranty's over. That thing's going to be all kinds of trouble. This is a Toyota. You can pour sand in the engine and it'll just keep going and going and going, and you'll still be able to be a contender on the racetrack. I don't know. Maybe Mental is going to buy this thing, find the guy, beat him up, and buy his car. What do you guys think of the result of this little Toyota? You have hate for this seller, like Mental does, and like the people in the comments, man. The people in the comments were all over this thing, basically the same take as Mental. I think Mental just made like 20 accounts and basically typed the same thing over and over, burn this guy to a stake, and he was basically they torched this effort. He for all the reasons funny. That Mental was saying.
Oh my God,
you know, and the funny thing is, people were calling the seller out for not commenting after the auction was over and it didn't sell. It's like, what do you expect the guy to come back and take abuse? Why would he come back to the auction after the car didn't sell to see what people says? He doesn't care. The last thing he wants to do is hear a bunch of yahoos that don't have the car that they want get mad at him for having the car that he has. That just seems ridiculous. All right, there it is. Let's take a quick break. We will be right back. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden. This guy. Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about, and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas. If you don't subscribe to Bid Nerds on YouTube right now, I'm gonna shoot this 997. If you said, wait, that's a 996, you're a nerd. So subscribe to the new YouTube channel, Bid Nerds. Get those nerds! So yeah, man, we got to update the Bid Nerds commercial to say that we're doing it live. A couple times we got this all screwed up, but I think I need to make a new commercial, actually.
We're perfect.
We are perfect. We don't do anything wrong. We do everything right. I need to make a new commercial to promote my event with the Pacific Northwest PCA coming up on the 28th of October, where I will be interviewing Mr. Patrick Long. I need to make this exact same commercial where I say, if you don't subscribe to Bid Nerds, I'm going to shoot this Patrick Long, and have a picture of Patrick Dempsey, and then change it, and I say, wait, if you said that's Patrick Long and not Patrick then you're a nerd. You see where I'm going with this. I think it's the same
Absolutely.
joke. Same joke.
I think it was my idea that you copied the commercial.
Damn it, it was.
Because Mental pulled up the Dempsey picture immediately when you dropped that last week, which was hilarious. And that photo of Dempsey was the perfect shot. Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good.
Michael Deeb, why don't you tell everyone about how Carzoon Cafe went today, real quick?
Dude, huge shout out. So there's a guy in the Bay Area that has an Instagram account where he just I think it's called Dave's Car Meets, and he just promotes and pushes all the flyers from all the cool car meets in Northern California, mostly around the Bay Area. So somebody mentioned him to me last month at Cars Und. So I sent him one of the assets you created for our Cars Und Cafe San Francisco at the Pit Stop Automotive in Brisbane. And Dave wound up sending down, I mean, JP, nearly a dozen guys showed up that didn't know the Bidners, didn't know Defascination, didn't bring a Porsche, and just came through and hung out. We had a lot of really cool guys. We had a Buick Grand National. We had a BMW 3.0 CSL. We had an Acura NSX. There were a handful of cool Porsches that did show up, a lot of 911s. Man, it was really great. We had Johnny Donuts. Again, we brought Johnny Donuts. They use Equator coffee, which is great coffee. That's the coffee we got in Sausalito before we did the run during Luftgekühlt. Yeah, we drank coffee at Equator Coffee. So it was just, the weather was spectacular. Rafi opened the shop, some really cool cars in there. The shop actually looks kind of empty because Rafi sold like 3 or 4 cars down at Monterey Car Week. So it's interesting to go in there and be like, wait, where'd that car go? Like there's a Bugatti that sold. There's a Zagato, a Fiat Autovuz Zagato that sold. That car went for like $3 million. And ironically, JP, remember how you'd introduced me to Shoddy? Do you remember Shoddy's friend, John Larner? Do you know John? Oh,
Larner? Yeah, I know John. Yeah, absolutely.
So John Larner's buddy bought this Zagato Fiat for like $3 million. I don't know his name, so I'm not disclosing anything. And so I'm talking to Larner at the Easy Show, and he goes, yeah, my buddy bought this car, and he shows me a photo. And I said, Rafi has bought and sold that car twice, and it's worked on it for like the last probably 6 or 8 years.
What are there, 4 of those?
Larner,
I mean,
yeah, seriously. So I told Larner we'll bring that guy and the car to Rafi's shop and introduce him, because theoretically Rafi keep that car on the road for Larner's buddy if he decides to actually drive the car, which I hope. But dude, $3 million for an old Fiat, chances are it's just going to sit in the garage, which breaks my heart, because that particular one has actually has a racing specification engine, so it's a little bit higher compression. It's got 3 the V8, so it's got like I think 4 2-draft carburetors, and he's got these beautiful long tube headers coming out of it. It's a really sick car. So anyways, the shop was, I want to say, semi-empty, but also a couple of cars are getting closer to being finished. I have a sneaky suspicion in the next month or two that Toyota 2000 GT will be drivable, and then maybe theoretically if the car's in the shop when we have Cars and Cafe, Rafi can start it up and maybe take it outside and rev it up for everybody, because it's
Yuri's got to get us to be able to make a film for that. I definitely want to make a film of that car. Those are so hot.
Yeah, I think we could. Yeah, it's right. This will be arguably like the nicest one in the country, and I'm sure Rafi will let us drive it back and forth through Guadalupe Canyon and make a nice little asset for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, our show was great, but I heard your show was even more spectacular. Did you get like, aside from the weather, did you get like a record number of people or what?
It just went off. Cars and Cafe in Las Vegas, our good friends at Godden, Classic, they brought it today. They brought metal, man. They had multiple Taycans. They brought a bunch of new stuff, but Paul Jarrett, the general manager, brought his personal 993 cab out.
Yep.
They brought my white 993 turbo from the show, from Porsche Road Trip that I got to drive for Porsche Road Trip. Man, every time I see that car, I'm just like, oh God, I want that thing back. They have an unbelievably perfect red 993 C4S that has all the turbo aero with like 15,000 miles on it. It's just absurd. So they brought metal today. They brought it in spades, and then everyone else showed up. Our good friend Chris showed up with, he brought his Cadillac. I think it's a 63 Cadillac bagged. He's got like some kind of crate. I don't know. I have no idea what the engine on this thing is, but it's like some big, block Chevy thing with 2 huge truck turbos on it. It's just like absurd. But the entire trunk was full of breakfast burritos. He just rolled up hard. He hard parked right in front of everyone, pops the trunk open, breakfast burritos free, everyone. It was like, everyone's like, he'll do this every now and then. Usually he has them in the front of his really beautiful backdate car. His backdate car looks like I wish my backdate car looks like. My backdate car looks really cool, but it's, a driver. It's got rock chips and all that kind of stuff. His backdate is immaculate. So Shout out to Chris.
What's the
Thanks for
name of the
bringing me.
color of that car? It's like an olive or tobacco
Yeah,
color. It's a really
yeah,
pretty
some
color.
kind of greenish
It's a
yellow
color
kind of
I've
thing.
never seen. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool. Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
baby shit. Brown.
Yeah,
really cool
in
car.
a beautiful sort of way. All right, let's get to some predictions here. We are, for those of you who are just joining us, if you popped in live here on the second half of the show, this is the Bid Nerds. We find the most interesting cars from Bring a Trailer and Cars and Bids and all those places, and then we play the prices right with these cars. We're gonna talk about a few cars here right now, and we'll tell you all about the cars and their listings. We'll tell you about the things that we think you should look out for, and then we will predict what will happen with those cars auctions, and you can play along by putting your bid in the comments below or live chatting with us. Let's get to it. Michael Deeb, what's the first car on the list? Mr. Tippity Tapper. You're doing a lot of tippity tapping over there.
All right, so I'm typing because I'm way behind schedule. I was with the baby all night. I'm proudly wearing a black T-shirt that is covered in what we call lebne, which is like Middle Eastern yogurt.
Yeah,
that the baby
way
has just,
too much
thrown up all over
information.
me.
Way too much information.
Proud Papa. Proud Papa here doing the show tonight. JP, two things are going on. One, we're still playing with the values on 993 C2s, and two, it is Rennsport week. We are less than 5 days away from the start of Rennsport reunion, so we are going to be Porsche heavy tonight. With that in mind, on Cars and Bids, I found this 1995 Porsche 911 Carrera Coupe with a 6-speed manual out of Miami, Florida, showing 22,000 miles, but they're going to list it as TMU, true mileage unknown. And I'm not sure why, because there's a Carfax that sort of does the chronological order of the mileage. And to me, I don't understand why you would write TMU. If the Carfax backs up the mileage, why would you go and do that? So anyways, this car has a couple of modifications, JP. There's a Fab Speed exhaust and a Fab Speed intake. And if you look at the stance on this car, although they should have added wheel spacers, this car is sitting on Bilstein coilovers. It's black on black on black. It's got a clean Carfax history. Looks like a really nice car by all accounts. It doesn't seem to be all used up. Black, I think black on the C2s is awesome. I love this color a lot more than the white. And so this car may also be a good comp for Mental's friend's car. So I just thought we'd take a quick peek at this one and then talk about the fact, JP, as I hand it over to you very quickly, that we have not really seen a lot of air-cooled 911s on Cars and Bids. They have absolutely been the domain of Bring a Trailer. Or you could say air-cooled Porsches might be one of the number one. It's got to be top 3, top 4 model of car for Cars and Bring a Trailer since they started. And we do see some of these cars sell on PCAR market, much to our chagrin, because we don't really like the way they operate. But I think it's more of an occasion to see one on Cars and Bids. And I think it's interesting that somebody would take a chance on that platform, because if I owned this car, I wouldn't push to put this on Cars and Bids. I'd think of one of the other platforms first. So JP, as I hand it over to you, what do you see when you look at this car? What do you like about the mods that are on it? And then keep in mind, this car had a very minor accident. Back in 2009, there was minor damage to the driver's side door, and the car was never non-running. The car was always in running condition. So my guess is, they might have hit something, on the driver's side, and it was a minor accident. So it's a 95. It's got that going for it. It's manual. It's C2. The mileage and even a TMU doesn't really bother me on this car. I like these mods. Oh, I do think if you're going to slam it that far to the ground, I think you got to push the wheels out a little bit. But what do you see when you look at this, and what do you like about it?
I mean, I like that it's a black on black 993, or black on black any Porsche is my jam. This car really, this TMU thing. I think that is absolutely going to affect the price. This is the first time I'm putting eyes on this, and the thing I'm going to want to dig for, and maybe you can look for it while I'm kind of going through these pictures. You said the Carfax. This car is from Florida, which, we're not huge fans of cars from Florida. But where else has it been?
It's in Florida.
Because
so started off in Indiana in 95.
Okay.
Ohio.
So it's been mostly
sold
East
to
Coast?
Indiana, but theoretically to Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, and then in 2001, this car shows up in Florida, and it's been it had an inspection in Florida, and then in 2003 it was back. It's still in Illinois, and then in '05 it shows up with the second owner in Florida. So for some reason, at one point during its Midwest ownership, the car was inspected in Florida one time, but in 2005 there's an ownership change and it goes to Florida, and it's been there sort of ever since.
I have never looked at a Florida title, but like if you look at a Washington State title, anything over, like 10 years is the odometer is exempt, even though it'll have odometer listings on it. So that I've had cars in the past selling, and I've sold them to people out of state, and they're like, "What is this? Odometer exempt?" They freak out, and it's like that's just a Washington State thing, and I'm sure other states are like that. So I'm guessing that Cars and Bids has to maybe say it's TMU because of that. But without knowing exactly, that is a little bit questionable. But looking at the car, it certainly looks like it's only got 30,000 miles on it. Florida and the East Coast is hard on cars in general. I got to think that this car probably didn't, even when it was in Illinois, it probably didn't spend any time in the snow or anything like that. I mean, this is a great looking car. I love that it's got Bilstein suspension. The coilovers are transformative on a 993. Just unbelievably changes this car. I would pull that steering wheel. I would put an RS shift knob. I would put either a Mod 7 or a 996 steering wheel in that thing, and then change the wheels out or with some spacers or whatever. And this car would just be a mad driver forever. I love this car. This is absolutely the kind of car that I would recommend anyone. Just love it. I'm not worried about all the like I said, the TMU thing, but at the same time, it's going to affect the price, and I wouldn't pay a premium for a car that had a TMU issue. So I don't think it's going to be horrible. I think the bigger problem is the platform that you brought up in the first place. Cars and Bids is generally not the place for this car. So kind of like the 993 that we talked about before the break, we talked about our prediction last week where we thought the NFL closing a car that closes on a Sunday is going to take a hit. I think that's going to be on par with the kind of hit that this thing's going to take for the platform and the TMU.
So our car closes in a couple of days from now, JP. And at the moment, it is sitting at $35,250 on 10 bids.
Are you seeing this from Chris Carbine? He's saying that this was a car that was on BAT and didn't make it.
Oh, look at Chris
That's
Carbine.
Interesting. Chris, you got a link for that? Look at that. Research done by the Nerd Herd.
Yeah. Oh my God,
that's
awesome.
That's some
intel,
big intel right there.
Yeah. So I'll look that up real quick. You keep talking about the car. What do you think?
I mean, look, I want to go back and see that other link. That is huge information right there. That if it didn't sell on BAT, why? People in the comments, there's gonna be some information in there. I think this is an opportunity for a bargain. I mean, the question is, does this guy think he's gonna get more than 82 on Cars and Bids? I think he's out of his mind. Unless, did he have a problem? Was there a ninny? Was there one of those guys that just like found a bolt that was loose and started saying, some crazy ish? Because sometimes that happens in the comments. I mean, we've seen it a million times, and I know you personally have had to deal with it. I've had to deal with it where we've had listings and someone gets on there and says something unreasonably, or someone says something, makes a snide remark at the very end of the auction and kills momentum. I've never had that happen on a car, but I was selling a set of wheels on BAT, and some guy in the last couple of minutes said, "Oh, you can get these on eBay for half that." And it was like, what? Which was totally wrong. He was totally wrong. But that kills momentum. That maybe something like that happened on BAT. Chris, do you know anything about what happened with this car?
Yes, interesting. So the window sticker is present. There's owner's manual. The car got 26 bids. It stalled out at 83,000. There's nothing listed that says TMU. It just says 22,000 miles shown. They list the $28,000 service that was performed in February of 2023, including overhauling the fuel and air conditioning systems, as well as replacing the brake pad sensor, wiring harness, drive belt, shift linkage joint, distributor caps, and rotors, and more details below. So
I mean,
Very interesting. The photos aren't very good. It doesn't look like a very good listing. It does list the accident. The Carfax is there. So
I mean,
pretty
you're right.
interesting that
You're right about the ad not
83,000.
having a lot of good pictures. I mean, especially underneath. I mean, our good friend Tony Mazzagatti over at 900 Series, he'll be the first to tell you he'd rather buy a car that has higher miles, with records, and a car that's been driven, that you can actually see what's going on, as opposed to one of these cars that's been sitting for a long time, and hasn't been maintained. I mean, I'm looking at this. There's 2 shots underneath the car, and you really can't see. I mean, it looks dry, but I mean, it could very easily be dried up for the shot, and then who knows? I mean, this is light information, but I mean, at 21,000 miles, you do not want to let a 993 or any air-cooled car sit. It's like, I mean, again, turn on the drinking game, guys. If you let an air-cooled car sit for too long, the gaskets will dry up like the cork in a bottle of wine, and it'll start to leak. And those leaks are not necessarily the end of the world. It won't destroy the car, but it's going to make a mess, and it's going to be costly to pull that engine out and do an engine reseal, which this car, if it doesn't need now, it probably will very soon, if it's been sitting for a long time. I think that's probably what's going on here. People are kind of worried about the low miles, and without much records and without much history, I'd be worried about it. We're getting a lot of bids from the nerd herd out there. Michael Deeb, what do you think this car is going to do?
Well, so it's interesting that it failed to sell at 83,000 because JP, my bid, again, our car is sitting at 35,000 on 10 bids on Cars and Bids. My bid was $82,000. But now that I've seen that history, I'm not sure if it'll even get to there. So I'm gonna just shift my bid and say that since it failed just a few weeks ago on BAT at 83, I don't even think he's going to get $73,000. I'm going to say that listing it again too soon on another platform is not going to help this car. So I'm going to go $73,000 where it'll fail to sell for a second time, and I think this consignor is in big trouble.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony calls it. This car's burned, man.
Anthony, it'll be in the deal tank before the end of the month, right?
Yeah. So Jim over there be like, "Yeah, you got an opportunity to buy the car." This is just, it's blown out. I mean, I'm with Ross. He's like saying that it's just DOA. This car.
Yeah.
What was your number?
73.
73. Ross is saying 65, and it fails to sell. At your number, do you think it sells at 73? There's no way, right? It's failed.
No,
Yeah.
not if he did. If he didn't take 83 a month ago, he's not going to take 73 on a different platform today.
Yeah,
he's got a firm grip on this car. He's gonna wind up. I actually think that, is all joking aside, I wouldn't be surprised to see this car in PCAR market in a month.
Yeah, in the deal tank. 65,993 is my number. I'm going with Ross. I think he's right on this one.
All right,
Chris. 70K in sale? You think it sells at 70K? You think this guy is like running for the hills? Did he have a come to Jesus moment? He's like, yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think. Well, Chris doesn't drink, but I think he's drinking. He's probably drinking coffee.
On that one. He's gonna clarify that on that one. What do you guys think? What's this car gonna bring? Will it bring anything? Will it fail to sell? Can Doug DeMuro get it done where BAT can't? I think all indications are unlikely. I am frankly shocked, Michael Deeb, partner, that Cars and Bids even accepted this listing. I mean, I can't even believe they were like, okay, yeah, we'll try. I mean, because you said it. Air-cooled cars don't really belong there, or it's not that they don't belong there, but not after a no sale on the better platform. And I got to think that Doug DeMuro isn't so full of his $73 or $37 million that he thinks his platform is really as good as BAT, because it's not. It's not.
Consider this take. He's so desperate to get into the air-cooled game. This car is basically taking BAT's sloppy seconds. This car failed to sell on BAT a month ago, and now he's taking it like less than a month later. That's how he gets so few like 911s. This to me is the wrong move for a guy like that, because you got a harder chance of getting this car to bring the same money and sell. I would rather pass on this car and take a fresh first time to market car this calendar year and have a much better chance of having that car exclusively. There's nothing exclusive about this car, Doug. It just failed to sell on BAT in front of the largest audience in existence. So That's a
Yeah.
bad move on Cars and Bids'
Randy's
part.
bringing up a good
Chris,
question. He says, has
yep.
has the chat in the Cars and Bids? He brought this up. Is anybody talking about it?
Why do we have to do all this homework for our good?
I know, right?
Good
We never
friends
do
there.
that much
Thank you,
homework.
man.
Look, we've seen cars fail to sell on BAT and go to other platforms and actually perform better. It's not impossible, but there are usually extenuating circumstances. Like our good friend, Dave Kealoha with the Flying Hawaiian car. He tried to sell his car on BAT in early spring or late winter, and it failed to sell. He didn't get the number. I think it got up to like 250 or whatever. And then he put it on PCAR Market in the middle of the summer, and he got his 275 number, or 277. He got another $20,000-$30,000 on a lesser platform. But I still maintain that that's because it was the time of year, not that the one platform really performed better than the other. I just don't see, especially PCAR Market. Give me a break.
JP, we have opened a can of worms here.
Yeah.
So first person brought it up that it failed to sell. Second person brings it up and says, okay, so let me read it. That's second person says, seller, in the BAT auction, you insisted that the odometer had never been repaired to the best of your knowledge. And now we're seeing the car here on Cars and Bids with an invoice for an odometer repair in June during your ownership.
Oh.
Can you explain what happened? The seller says to air-cooled, whatever, to the person, thank you for your question. The previous auction questions focused on the gap in the mileage history on the Carfax report between 2012 and 2022. I can confirm that no miles were added to the car during those years, as I personally witnessed the car sitting in the same spot in our building's garage under a car cover, which goes to your point about 993 sitting too long. To answer your question regarding the invoice showing the odometer repair in May, after the initial major repairs were done to the car in February, the odometer stopped turning at 21,447, and I promptly brought the car back in for service to have the odometer repaired. The odometer issue is a well-known concern with 993. Some owners take advantage of this by accumulating free miles, but I prefer things to be done the right way and certainly do not want mileage discrepancy on this car. Thus, I addressed it immediately. If anyone has any further doubts about the mileage or the overall condition of this 993, I encourage you to contact Park House in Miami. They're familiar with the car and can vouch for its amazing condition. I hope this clarifies regarding the mileage. There is nothing but full transparency in this beautiful example of a low mileage 993. So, JP, how would you feel about that?
Yeah, if I'm Doug, I pull this listing. I don't know what the heck is going on. This is too weird. The guy's answer is okay, but it's not. I mean, this is just, what are we doing here? Yeah, if I'm Doug, I pull this car. This car just shouldn't even be on Cars and Bids. Cars and Bids shouldn't have to sit here and tell stories. Kareem, I'm with Kareem. He's like, it would have had a better chance on PCAR Market, and I think he's right, because some of their hustlers could have get on the phone and start calling people and start. But Cars and Bids has a better reputation than that. Cars and Bids, if this thing doesn't sell, Cars and Bids salespeople aren't going to be like hammering a bunch of bidders trying to get them to bump up. If they do, that would be out of character, and that would be a bad idea. Whereas PCAR Market, yeah.
I'm gonna introduce a new thing we're gonna do on this show. JP, this car gets an oyster because it belongs in Oyster Bay. This car gets an oyster on its way to PCAR Market. Look for this car in the deal tank. It's gonna be in the deal tank for $125. I guarantee it.
Zach Miller hangs out with us sometimes, and he's from Cars and Bids. Hope maybe he'll see this, and maybe he'll get it up the food chain. How did this get past the guys that are on top of this? I mean, Michael Deeb, we've said it before, just to be fully disclosed, you work for Haggerty Marketplace. They do not pay for the show. They don't sponsor this show. I have been critical of some of the things that they've done over there, and you've been very transparent, genuinely transparent, not just saying you're transparent. As someone that this is your profession, if this listing comes across your desk, car failed to sell on BAT, mileage description, invoices that contradict what the seller claims, what do you do?
We first of all, a car like this with this kind of discrepancy, it would never have made it past our team. This car Haggerty would not run this car. I feel like Cars and Bids, which is I think, accumulating a little bit bigger piece of the pie. They've got a massive investment. My guess is they'd love to be in the air cooled game because they historically have not. But I think this car, I agree with you, JP. I just don't think they ever should have taken a chance on this car because there's too many issues here, and it doesn't match up with its previous listing, where I might remind you it failed to sell. So what are we doing differently this time? If you think that you've fixed an odometer issue or you've overcome a hurdle, that has to be the first thing out of your mouth. I've been talking to a potential client recently who has a beautiful GT3 car that had run on BAT, where it failed to sell at a reasonably high number, and they had noticed that one of the parts underneath the car was weeping oil. What do you call it? One of the bearings.
Rear main seal,
they fixed that.
Okay.
Yeah, rear main seal. So they fixed that, right? So the car failed to sell on BAT, and we're talking about putting it on Haggerty. And I told my team, I said, look, the reason why the car didn't sell, and it was brought up in the comments, was that the rear main seal was weeping. It had been up on a lift, and if you looked really, really, really close and zoomed in, you could see it was weeping. And so somebody brought that up. They couldn't overcome it, and yet it still brought a really high number on BAT. So the question my team has is, how do we expect to do better? And I said, the car is in the shop getting the rear main seal done, and they'll have an invoice for it to say, yeah, it didn't fail to sell because of the rear main bearing or whatever on rear main seal on BAT, but now that's overcome. And the only way they'll agree to run it is if the reserve is a little bit lower than the number it made on BAT. And the idea is, if the consignor is confident that this fixes the issue, then we should have no problem running past the reserve and on to a higher retail number. But just in case it doesn't, we still want to have a chance to sell the car at a little bit lower number, just in case it only matches the number it did on BAT. So that's kind of where we are with the consignor. It's an open discussion, but that's how you sort of handle this thing. If that's the reason why it tripped it up last time, it has to be the first thing out of your mouth when we bring it back to market the second time.
Yeah.
And so the consignor and everybody involved understands that. My team understands that. We have a strategy in place. And it's, like I said, it's still up in the air. But that to me makes sense. This here, unfortunately, Doug and the team at Cars and Bids have a soup sandwich. And as you know, you can't eat a soup sandwich. It don't work.
Well, I think Anthony's got it right. This car, I'm sure in a couple of weeks, we will see it in the Chum Bucket, the new name for the deal tank over there at PCAR Market.
Yeah. Give this car an oyster.
Yeah, there it is. All right.
Soon enough.
Let's move on. What else we got?
All right, JP, we are 993 heavy. Don't shoot
Oh my
the
gosh.
messenger.
What are you doing, dude?
This
have
car
you done,
is
what?
hilarious.
Everyone's like, what? Everyone out in the audience is like, wait, what? Another 993?
Wait.
Another
Wait till you see this car.
Deeb? Come on, man.
Wait till you see this car.
What the hell?
This is it's on PCAR Market. We're gonna.
Oh, good. Oh, even better. Yeah, you're really selling it now. Let's go hang out with PCAR Market.
So this is a one-owner, 38,000 mile, 1998 Porsche 993 Carrera S. JP, just skip ahead so you see a photo of the interior of this car. It's pastel yellow with chestnut brown leather upholstery, and it's got the hardback sports seats, the optional sports seats, which I love. Limited slip differential, stainless steel exhaust. Low mileage example, 38,000 miles, and this car is, of course, in some place in New York, right? Don't they do business completely and exclusively in their own backyard? It's from East Aurora, New York. John, if you can skip ahead to the photo bucket, I want you. There's some good photos of the car from underneath that they caught the car up on a rack, and there are quite a few pieces of metal and open parts under the, that thing they tacked to the bottom of the car that look like it's like a Cosmoline type of mud, but it's all black. And what's interesting is if it's a protectant, they sprayed so much of it on, it's like they're hiding the metal from the photographs. And I don't understand. Maybe somebody will recognize and tell me what this is. But look at that treatment under there, JP. Look at those. Look at that right there. What did they spray on there? Because to me, it looks like they're covering up a problem. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is that? Can
that's like the undercoating you get at at the Chevy dealer. That's like the undercoating from Fargo. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
Wisconsin, right? Or
yeah,
Minnesota?
yeah, the from the movie Fargo. Remember, they're like, yeah, we'll
Yeah.
sell you the extra. Yeah, that's not Cosmoline. That's crazy. Wow.
But it's like it's a total covering, and I get it if you put that on to protect your car because you're going to drive it year round in a place where they salt the roads. But what it
What the
like
hell?
how do you bring this car to market and not look like you're hiding something? So I would love to ask the audience, because I'm from San Francisco. We don't we
Look
don't
at
have
the
to deal with stuff like
overspray
this.
on the
But I guess
control arms. Holy shucks!
yeah.
And they're
But
adjustable
if you're in New
coilovers.
York,
Yeah?
is this a common thing? And I don't know about it. Like so I would love for somebody to chime in and tell me what's going on here. Otherwise, this is an unusual colorway. I don't think it'll bring a premium. Burgundy and yellow, I think you got to sell it to somebody that plays for the Washington Commanders. But I love I love that it's got the limited slip. I love that it's got the seats. And I tell you what, if the price was right, I would drive this car. But it's actually this car is actually at a respectable number for where it's at right now. It closes in just a couple of days from now. JP, one owner car, weird stuff going on underneath. There's a lot to unpack here. What do you see? Tell me what you're looking at when you look at this car?
That freaking interior.
And it's on
Oh my god.
car market. How do they find this stuff is amazing. Like they just find the kinkiest cars.
I mean, isn't it the other way around? I mean, if you have something like this, you know that it's going to get ripped apart on BAT. So of course you go to PCAR Market. Whose signature is that on the dash? Who is that? That's do we know what's going on there?
I'll look at it
yeah,
closer.
I mean this
I'll try to read it.
This is just like, Buddha, our good friend Buddha drives that 996 C4S with the ball sack leather, and we give him a hard time, and he's such a good sport about it. He's like, I'm gonna get a T-shirt that says "I love my ball sack leather shirt," or interior.
No, he said he was gonna get it. He's gonna get a T-shirt that says "Bid Nerds" and on the back say "Hate my car."
Yeah, hate his interior, not his car, his interior.
Hate his interior.
But yeah, this is a lot harder to live with. I'll take the ball sack leather than all this chestnut red. This is an atrocity. This is really tough to look at. I don't know, man. A wide body, wide body 993s are just magnificent. They're one of the best looking designs of all time. This color is tough, but you can wrap an exterior. There's not a whole lot you can do about an interior. You could change the seats, but I mean, these are great seats, but you're not going to spend a bunch of money to reupholster the interior. That would just be this is
what color do you change the exterior to go with the burgundy interior?
Black. I mean, you go to lobster.
Black.
Lobster makes sense. You get a black steering wheel. I mean, maybe get a black, one of those hard black. Maybe just change the dash. Get a black dashboard, and so you get a black steering wheel and a black dash, maybe black floor mats, and you can break up some of this. Right? It looks like it's got black floor mats already, if I remember correctly, but it's still gonna be, that's a tough place to be sitting in that car. It's one driving it, you're not gonna care. It's gonna be so cool. I mean, with those coilovers, this thing's got to be a ton of fun. But yeah, I have questions. What's going on with the covering of this interior? PCAR Market has so many things going on. Whose signature is that? This car is wow. This car is so PCAR Market.
Is that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, too funny.
Yeah, so Anthony's going like, what? I mean, yeah, you're just digging up all the weird 993s from all the different places. This is just, Deeb is on a tear.
Red Sport Week.
Yeah.
Red Sport Week.
Yeah. Boy, PCAR Market. This is just bringing something. All right, what do we think this game is? It going to bring any money? Does anybody want this car?
John,
Ronald McDonald's 993. Good call.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Put a McDonald's
DHL,
livery on it. That would be pretty dope. You could actually rock
DHL
that.
livery.
Yeah.
So this car closes 2 days from now. It's already up to $122,500 on 12 bids. JP, I just don't think this car is going to go much further than this. I'm going to give you $145,000 where it fails to sell. So yeah, that's gonna be my bid, $145,000, and I'm just gonna throw in for shits and giggles FTS and it's going to wind up in the deal tank for like $175,000.
Yeah, I'm shocked it's up at $120 already. Given look, Ross is hopped in there and he thinks that stuff is to cover up rust, which I mean that's entirely possible
That's what
and
I
likely
think. Yeah.
on the East Coast. I mean, because it's not just spray paint; it's like thick stuff. But before we get to my bid, this is very interesting. Mr. Zach Miller has entered the room. Zach from Cars and Bids. We're going to do something that we don't usually do. We're going to go backwards on the show. Let's go back to that other 993. Zach, are you up to speed on this 95, this black car that you guys are representing? We have some big questions about the TMU odometer situation and the discrepancy between the invoice that's listed and what the seller is saying was done. This car failed to sell on BaT, and here it is on Cars and Bids. We all really are curious why you guys accepted this car so close to it having failed to sell on BaT. There's got to be a story behind that. We'd love to hear if you could explain that. While you take a moment, if you care to, we'll go back to this monstrosity of a yellow car here, and I'll throw a bid. I'm gonna. I'll get. What was your bid, Deeb? I'm sorry.
145,000 where it'll fail to sell. I think it's 145. I think it winds up in the deal tank for like 180 grand, 175.
Yeah, I'll go 135,993 just to be cute. Yeah. Okay, so what do we got here? You ran. Oh yeah. So it looks like Zach and Chris are getting up to speed. So we'll give him a second on that. What do you guys? While Zach is taking a moment to see what to get up to speed, what do you guys think this yellow 993 will bring? Anybody got some bids here?
Let's see what the herd thinks.
There's no doubt. I think we all agree that this is going. What was it? The chum bucket, the deal tank.
Yeah.
This is definitely headed there. This car definitely has oysters. Yeah, this is definitely an oyster car. I think I would just be shocked if this sells. Although, how many times have we seen it? Weird colors just bring the big money, right? I mean, this car. But it's just too. There's just too many questions. Oh man.
Yellow and burgundy just don't make sense. I don't understand. Like, unless they were going for the DHL livery from the RS Spiders, I don't understand what they were thinking with that colorway at all.
Yeah, I mean, whoever originally bought this thing, could you imagine sitting there in the dealership going, yellow and red?
Yeah.
That's it. I mean,
so the GSM had to take a 50% deposit on that order because he's thinking, if this guy doesn't come through and buy this car, I'll never be able to sell it.
Right. Lee, you're not going to buy this one? This one's not on your list? I saw you shopping for car seats for the back of a 993. That's a good sign. We're all rooting for you. I still think it looks like that car that Mental's driving seems that Lee, you got to buy that car. That seems like the car, or my old 993 that's over at the other store that we like hanging out with over there, but I won't mention them. Chris, you like the combo. You're effing with us, Chris. You are definitely drinking tonight. I'm the one that should be on drugs. I'm the one that's in downtown Las Vegas during Life is Beautiful. I'm in the middle of a music festival. I'm surrounded by, little Chicky Chews and little Dayglow outfits with, glowing glow sticks in their mouths. They're all everyone is on drugs. There are thousands of people. Like, you go outside of the studio. I wish I could reach the camera and do some. Maybe at the end of the episode, I'll point it out the window and you can see the EDM tent. But yeah, you're high, buddy. Yeah.
JP, you're at an electric music conference wearing a Hawaiian shirt. If you were to walk outside right now, they would think you were Fatboy Slim. You know what I mean?
I'm in. This is the jam. That's why I got the hat. I mean, don't you guys know anything? I got the hipster hat.
Yep.
I bought it at Life is Beautiful. It looks a little fun. I was gonna wear it for the show, but I couldn't figure out how to do it with the headphones. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, no. All right. So we're still waiting for an answer from Zach. I'm sure he's kind of digging into it right now. All right, Chris is smoking weed. That makes sense. All right, let's move on. Let's go to the other car, and we'll give Zach a minute to figure this thing out. I'm really curious what he thinks, what his take on that black 993 is.
Zach's on the phone with his attorneys to find out how much he can and cannot say to us, in the chat room.
That is great.
So
I'm just really thankful that he's here hanging out with us.
Zach,
yeah.
Okay,
this is awesome.
Any candor, any opinions at all, Zach, we will take it completely off record. We won't tell anybody. Just send it to the chats.
There's only like 8 people watching the show, so how bad could it be?
My favorite cars. Yeah, no worries. This is a 1993 Mercedes Benz 500e. I think either Chris Carbine or Mental or Buddha. Somebody picked this car and sent it to me. So I forget who sent it to me, but obviously I didn't forget about it. 37,000 miles. The car is in Portland, Oregon. It's being sold by 911R, who is Avant-Garde Motors in Portland, Oregon. They do get some absolute zingers of cars. I love one of these. We had a 93 that my dad and I had. We bought it with 45,000 miles, and we put like 90,000 miles on that car over like a 10-year period. I absolutely love these things. Can't say enough nice things about it. I will tell you this. An actual black paint job is really rare on these cars in this country. The 17-inch Evo wheels are really cool. Nice touch. I would prefer it with AMG monoblocks or the standard wheel. I don't know that I would put this wheel on this car, but I don't fault the guy for doing it. But the black paint job actually makes it super, super rare. The wooden steering wheel is also not stock. I don't even think it was an option. I think the wooden wheels were Mercedes Benz equipment on any of the 600 cars that came with a V12. So I think it would have been like a very simple option to go down to the dealership and order a wheel with the wood off a 600 and retrofit it to your 500E. Other than those two modifications, this car looks to be perfectly stock. Super spectacular motor, 322 horsepower, 350 pound-foot of torque. These cars show a 3-speed automatically, but they do have a granny gear. You can put them in first. So it's like 3-speed with an overdrive. So they're technically a 4-speed automatic. The suspension, as you know, was done by Porsche. They even had to help figure out a way to build like a tuned suspension and create enough room for Mercedes to shoehorn the V8 under the front hood. But what you get is essentially a 300E with wider fender flares, a magnificent engine, and basically Mercedes made what AMG was making with the Hammer and built one in-house. These are fantastic cars. They're going up in value, and I think this might wind up being one of the strongest results we've seen for a 500E in the history of Bring a Trailer. So JP, as I send it over to you, I'll look that up to see if it's true. I'll try to see what the bid history is on 500Es. But I kind of forget your answer on this. Have you ever driven a 500E? Have you ever had access to one for like a long period of time and taken it for a drive? Because it really is one of my favorite driving cars ever, even though it doesn't have a manual transmission.
I have not. And, I've heard the stories over and over and over again. And I really look forward to a chance to get behind the wheel of one of these. I love this era of Mercedes in general. I mean, they are, I've just, any one of them, even the worst version of this is the W what 207 or 10, which platform is this? Oh, come on, Mercedes guy.
W124.
W124. Thank you. I have had like
124.
I owned a I think it was a E320 or something like that of the era, which was nowhere near as great as this car, but just that. The way that car drove was just spectacular. I mean, I would take it over anything Mercedes sells now. Like, certainly this car. But even that old E320 or 350, whatever it was, that car was such a solid car. It just felt like it was cut from a single block of steel. And they just feel so good on the road. Mercedes lost its way a long time ago, and they just do not hold up the way that these cars do. So with all that said, I can only imagine how good this car is. I definitely want to drive it. But you're teeing us up for this big this big finale, big numbers and stuff. Are we in an era where record numbers are going to happen. I don't think we're going to see record numbers on anything for a while. I think if anything that this is going to soften up. Avant-Garde is a fantastic seller, but we've seen a lot of stuff they've brought to market recently that we had really big high expectations that still did well, but not nearly as well as we thought they would. And I know that's not very specific to the car, my answer, but I am kind of concerned about that for Avant-Garde. So where do you think this thing? Oh, go ahead.
So JP, it looks like they've on Bring a Trailer they've run 108 of these cars. 2 of them have brought over $80,000. One in June of 2023 sold for $87,000 by our friends. It was an E500 Limited, so I think that's a car that was never sold in the U.S. originally. And another one was a 49,000 kilometer 1994 E500 Limited. Again, another gray market car. So those 2 cars went for 87 and 91,000 respectively. And then a 1995 Mercedes Benz E500 Limited sold in 2020 for $123,000. And those are the 3 highest results. All 3 of those cars sold, but none of them were a standard domestic market car like our car is here on BAT at the moment by 911R. The car has 2 tasteful modifications, but super low miles and a really rare all black paint job. Most of these cars were a dark gray metallic that they called black pearl. But this car is a flat black paint job, and that makes it super rare. The mileage is good, and it's arguably BAT's most reputable seller. With that in mind, JP, our car is sitting at $80,000, and it closes tomorrow, and it's already on 18 bids. With the number that it's sitting at right now, I think the writing's on the wall for this car to set a record. And so I'm going to say that it's going to bring, I really think this car could go for 120, but I'm going to temper it just a little bit. I'm going to say $110,000, and I wouldn't be surprised if it goes over. Are you going to stay pragmatic because of the market, or are you just going to recognize this as being a rare low mile example, arguably one of the most collectible examples of the domestic 500E and not one of those cool versions that they sold overseas? What do you think is going to happen? You're going to go over or under my bid?
Hey, what was your bid one more time? Throw me your bid one more time.
$110,000.
110. I'm going. Where's it at right now?
It's at 80 right now on 18 bids, and Rochelle's mic is not on.
Oh, Rochelle's. Let's see here. Let's give her a mic here. Here we go. There you go. Tap on that microphone, Rochelle.
It's not on.
It's not on? All
Sorry,
right.
David.
We'll go back to,
yeah,
here we go. Sorry. All right. Yeah, I'm going 5,000 under you. 5,500 under you. Whatever the number
Are you?
is.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're
I don't
going to regret that.
Yeah,
I actually think it's going to go over me. So we're going to go 105.
All right. And then let's hear. Oh, it's interesting. Karam says that he drives one of these. That's freaking awesome. How cool is he? I want to drive one of those as a daily driver. That sounds like a great deal. What's his number?
Hey, Karam, I don't know how big a car guy is, Karam, but the 92s, JP, Mercedes actually sent these cars on a flatbed truck before they were final assembled over to Porsche to do the suspension, and then the cars went back to Mercedes Benz for final assembly. The 92s, I think, down the road will be worth more money because they were actually worked on in Porsche by Porsche technicians, whereas the 93s, like our car, and the 94s, all of that tooling was brought in-house at Mercedes-Benz, and the Porsche technicians never actually touched the cars. So I think Kuram's car is going to be highly collectible down the road, even though this is a little bit higher mileage. I think those cars, down the road, people are going to recognize that the 92s do have a special provenance that is different than the other years. And so that, I think the smart money is to put away on 92. But this 93, I think, is going to break the bank, JP. I think it's actually going to go over my number. We'll see what happens. Rochelle, how's Life is Beautiful? What's going on, babe?
Life is beautiful, man. I didn't see you that much.
Yes, it is. All right.
Did you enjoy Vegas Auto Fest?
Yeah. Did you I had a blast at Vegas Auto Fest. We had
Yeah.
a really good time. There were people in from out of town, and I was telling a story last week. My friend Yuri, who bought some Guys Customs jewelry from you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yuri was standing outside of the clubhouse. He had never been there before. I came down to get him a wristband, and when I saw him, he had a distressed look on his face. And I said, "What's wrong?" And he looked at me and he goes, "I had no idea." And I'm like, "About what?" He goes, "How bitchin' this car show is." To him, it was sensory overload. He clearly had underestimated what JP and Chef had been working on all these years. And so for me to see the look on his face while he was looking at the lawn for the first time with the Rami girls and the show girls and the pink Lamborghini and just all the chaos and music and everything, his jaw was on the floor and he was in complete overwhelm. And that made me really happy because I forget sometimes how cool my friends are. And so to see the look on Yuri's face was priceless.
Yeah. Did he like the helicopters?
I think so, yeah. I think he was surprised to see helicopters at a car show.
Right.
Sorry, my switching. I am not quite Switcher Jesus status here, given.
I don't know why you have me on here. I don't talk cars.
Yeah, but you're here and you're better looking than us, so we thought we'd have you hop in there.
Let's talk about your blue braids. Are those real?
No, I had them done today just for the festival. Yeah.
Yeah, what happened to the flower? Yeah, show everybody. Show the back.
Really
show the back.
Oh, show the back?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Can you see the back?
That's we need to shout out the store downstairs. I don't even know what the name of the place is. It's like down below us.
Something Veda something.
Veda something. They're great people.
They're
In the
awesome.
store down below us in the Container Park. If you guys ever wind up coming to Vegas and see us at the Container Park, you can go visit them and get some blue hair braided into your hair. I was going to do that with mine, but they didn't have enough super glue.
Rochelle, I have an inside joke for you. Are your blue braids a Porsche paint to sample color?
Yes, they are actually. Mm-hmm. I ordered the hair samples specifically. Yeah. I couldn't get Mexico
Zenith blue. Are they
so
Zenith blue, JP?
Yeah.
Sure, why not? It was $45. What do I know? A lot cheaper than paint to sample. That is for sure. It turns out we've been making some bids.
Ladies and
That's
gentlemen,
all
if
the
you're watching
cars.
the show,
Yeah.
this is,
Go ahead, Deeb.
Rochelle Polnik, the founder of Guys Customs. This is the person who will make you a Guys Custom bracelet, and you can order paint to sample beads to match your favorite Porsche or other brand car. We are brand agnostic with Porsche heavy. Mm-hmm. Rochelle, thank you for coming on the show. It's nice to have you, in front of the camera for a change instead of doing all the tedious work to make the show look good when JP uploads it later in the week.
I don't like being in front of the camera.
Or do you actually do that too, probably?
No, he does all
that. Yeah.
My wife does all the cool stuff.
John, did we ever hear back from
what's that?
Did we hear back from our buddy at Cars and Bids?
I am looking at the comments. Did we ever hear back from our buddy at Cars and Bids? Yeah, I am not seeing anything from Zach. Maybe he's just dipping out on this one. And maybe he'll have to come back on the next episode and talk about that. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of thrown in the deep end on this one.
Maybe it's not in his best interest to comment while the car's still alive. Yeah. So we totally respect that.
We
didn't mean to put you on the spot, but we thought if you could say something, we'd at least ask.
Right. So, Deeb, you and I have to figure out when we're going to do the next episodes. We have been kind of going for this Sunday night and Wednesday night thing, but we are going to Ren Sport Reunion in a couple of weeks, or not a couple of weeks, in a few days, right? I'm leaving Las Vegas on Wednesday afternoon. You is it still on your plan to fly out here to drive your car? Okay, great. Do we go back to plan A and just leave Thursday morning and so that we can do Bid Nerds on Wednesday night in studio? Or should we try to do an episode Tuesday night? Hey, wait, before you answer that, Zach is back. Zach, we really appreciate you being commenting here. And you are obviously not obligated to, so it's very cool of you to hop in here. Zach says, regarding that 1995 993 mentioned earlier, we have no issue listing TMU cars so long as they are presented professionally and honestly. I'll take a look at that listing this week. Yeah, I think you guys should take a closer look at that one. And, you know, I mean, Zach, that's the right answer. And we know that you're coming in, you know, late on this one. You don't know all the details, but I think you guys should look at that one a little bit more closely. And just generally, it'd be interesting for us to know what the thought process was at Cars and Bids on this one and why you guys said, yeah, okay, it failed to sell over there. We'll try it over here. Why do you think it would do better on Cars and Bids a couple of weeks later? What's the thought process behind that? And then
you have to consider, since the post or the listing that was created for Cars and Bids doesn't line up with the way the car was represented on BAT previously. And certainly all these platforms, the first question they ask you when you submit a car is, has this car been submitted on another platform in the last year? They want to know so they can look and see what's happened previously, because that provenance, that your car winds up being your own best comp, you know, comparable sale. What has happened here is the worst case scenario, because it's raised all these weird ethical questions about the seller, and certainly Cars and Biz doesn't want to be associated with somebody that's going to, you know,
because let's be clear, we don't
for the platform.
We're not challenging this listing because of the TMU. That's no big deal. It's the fact that it failed to sell at another platform, and then based on a comment on Cars and Bids, someone noticed that there was a discrepancy from an invoice versus what's on the actual odometer and all that kind of stuff. So it's just a little weird. I think it just needs to be cleaned up. If there's a legit answer out there, great. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
I think that would be awesome. That's going to help sell the car at this point, because if we're having these questions, everyone else is having these questions, and I think that's clear in the comments on that particular listing. So clear those things up, get this car sold, and bring the seller the money.
Here's the other thing I'll say. Here's the other thing I'll say, and I'm quoting our good friend Tony Mazzagatti. In the bucket of photos that Cars and Bids has on their site, there is a photo of the rubber pedals in the pedal box. And Tony Mazzagatti says that you can't, like, nobody ever thinks to change out the pedals. So, like, if the rubber pedals look like they're still in brand new to young condition, then he would say that the car is not going to have some ridiculous amount of miles over, which is really funny because it's such a true statement. And there's a really good picture of the pedals in the bucket of photos. They look brand new. So, like, even if this car has a few extra miles on it, it's listed as TMU. I don't think it would really hold back my bid too much. It's when you start answering questions and it like, you know, when the argument arises in the comments, that's when it gets hairy. But the car, I still think the car looks good. I still think it represents a tremendous value. I also think that at $83,000, it's going to be hard to get more money than that next go around, no matter what you say. So I just think you have to take that into consideration. You started with the best platform, theoretically, to the largest audience, and that's what they came up with. I just don't imagine it's going to do better on Cars and Bids. It just doesn't seem like they've done enough to overcome that.
Rochelle, what do you think of this interior?
Show me. I can't see it.
Oh, you can't see it?
It's not on the screen.
I don't have it on the screen. Hold on. Let me try to get here's why isn't it coming up? There we go. She's like, oh,
that's a
pastel yellow car.
Oh no, that's too much.
Like, no, it's too much.
Too much. Yeah. Wow.
You know, Chris says the more he thinks about it, the more he likes the ketchup and mustard 993.
You mean Ross?
Oh, sorry, Ross. I mean, that must be. Is that a Kiwi thing that you guys like ketchup and mustard? I don't know. I actually really do like
Rochelle,
the ID.
Would you be surprised if I told?
What's that?
I just want to know if Rochelle, are you surprised that this car is on PCAR Market?
No, actually, absolutely not. That is a
knowing how much we love that.
No. Well, and having Having often seen what cars are listed on PCAR Market, that doesn't surprise me at all.
No.
Actually, that's like, yes, a PCAR Market
Okay,
car.
good.
Yeah.
Par for the course. The girl knows.
That's the answer I was hoping you would say.
Yeah, she is correct. All right, you guys. Well, I think
Wags,
huh?
wags, wives and girlfriends, even they know.
That is
Wives
true.
and girlfriends know PCAR Market sucks. We should get shirts made.
We are at the end of another live show, so we have not landed on whether or not we're going to do a live show on Tuesday night or Wednesday night. Guys, if you want to know, if you want the heads up, I am regularly going to go live on Bid Nerds on Instagram. I'm going to try to, I'll usually, what I'll do is while I'm setting up, about a half hour before I'm setting up, I'll go on there and say, hey, we're doing this. So make sure, if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram as well. And then, of course, subscribe and like the notification buttons for this particular channel, which those of you who are chatting with us already have. If you're new to the show, or if you're seeing a recorded version of this after it's live, please help us spread the word and share the herd. We are the Bid Nerds, and we love doing the show with you guys, and it's so much more fun having you guys hang out with us. We hope you have a great week. For those of you who are going to Rensport reunion, let's
say hi to us
awesome
in
if
Rensport.
you can find us.
Yeah.
We'll be running around with dumb hats that say Bid Nerds on them and stuff like that. We'll be carrying around Bid Nerds stickers. I got a whole pile of them here, so we'll be handing out swag while we're at Rensport. So we look forward to seeing you guys there. And then, I guess hang out on the show, spread the word, like I said. And Michael Deeb, anything you want to say? Anything else you want to say before we get going here?
No, man. I think, listen, we'll be hanging out together the whole time in Rensport, so we might chime in live a couple times, and so look for us on Instagram. We'll be there.
All right.
I have something to say.
Oh, Rochelle's got something to say.
I just wanted to say hi to Ross, and I apologize for the confusion on that little shipment. I'll have your stuff out soon. It's totally my fault. But I want to say thank you for your patience. I'm really sorry. But hey, how you doing?
So for those of you guys that don't know, Ross is in New Zealand and Anthony is in Idaho.
Everybody
and
knows
each
that
got
story.
The respective packages. Yeah, so whatever. It's all good. It's the thought that counts. Truly,
Everybody
on this
knows
one.
that story. That's hilarious.
See you guys.
Get the word!